What's going on, Tamers? East here, and I admittedly don't feel that great. I woke up this morning with a pretty nasty sore throat and just general aches, and that over the course of the day has not subsided. In fact, it's only gotten worse, and so I'm just gonna have to power through this one. I didn't want this to kind of hang over my head because I had already done the work for the meta reports. I just kind of want to get it done and finished up so Seiji can start working on it. So yeah, we're gonna get this one out as best we can. If I die, then I die. Anyway, we are in our 6th week of the BT19... Is that right? Yeah. Okay, the delusion hasn't set in yet. BT19 Xros Evolution set over here in Asia. And this week saw the kickoff of the larger events leading up to the World Finals later in March, I believe, of next year. And that includes things like the Indonesia regional, the Thailand regional, and in Japan, we've also got the kickoff of the second area qualifier events leading up to the Japan finals and then later the Asia finals themselves. Since BT19's release, two of the hottest decks on the up and up have been Sakyamon with the new Ruin Mode loop variant, as well as the Lord Nightmon X antibody. I really looked at that finger like it was going to speak to me. The Lord Nightmon X antibody decks, which now that we actually have like big events happening, we can see how these perform in a really competitive environment. That being said, let's take a look at some event results, a couple of key takeaways, and a close look at some of the decks that topped over the course of the past week. So with some of the more competitive events kicking off, I think the frontrunners that are emerging are pretty much what you'd expect. Decks like Magnamon, Sakyamon, Mirage Galgamon, Fenrir Lugamon, Red Hybrid, all these decks with incredibly powerful either defensive or offensive potential. We also saw things like Imperial Dramon, which I think won in Thailand this past weekend. It won the Thailand regional. Someone fact check me on that if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's correct. The one interesting anomaly in my opinion is the fact that we have so many Magnamon decks taking top spots here. I thought that with as much Mirage Galgamon that was running around, it would be really problematic because Mirage can just bypass blocker in many cases, and I didn't imagine that Sakyamon had too tough of a time running into Magnamon, but I could be wrong here. If you have an idea about why Magnamon's so popular right now, I'd love to hear them. Do me a favor, put them in the comments below as well. Another cool thing that happened at the second area qualifiers in Japan this past weekend was, I believe, Phoenixmon won with the birds, but they have a really unlikely ally, and stay tuned because we'll take a look at that deck in just a moment. Also, with all these Worlds qualifying events kicking off, I'll be doing my best to cover the ones that happen in Asia. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of the action, and for more Digimon card game content shuffled directly into your YouTube feed. Another interesting revelation that's come out over these past couple of weeks is that the more I see these fox armpits in Sakyamon Ruin Mode, the less I see of that Royal Knight's Betrayer, Lord Nightmon X, and you'll notice that he's actually not even on this list this week. Feels like with the combined potential or speed of some decks like Fenrir Lugamon, Red Hybrid, and Mirage Galgamon, he may get outpaced, and also those patented Ruin Mode blankets of minus 10k DP make it really difficult for that deck to get started. Make no mistake, Lord Nightmon is not a bad deck by any stretch of the imagination, but the upper echelon of decks in the game right now can give it some problems. It really does feel like a speed match in most cases. Though I will say that the rise of Lord Nightmon did spark the innovation of players to try out the Dark Animal engine in other decks outside of Lord Nightmon X. This week, for example, we saw a Myotismon deck feature those cards, and we'll definitely take a look at that one soon as well. Alright, so Myotismon. It's actually been a while, so let's do a really quick refresher. The deck runs on kind of like a 2 or 3 step game plan where you need to first get to a level 5 Myotismon in play using cards like the option Mist Barrier or the Arcanian Mummymon Tamer, alongside some of the other cards in the deck, or just hard playing a Myotismon Ace from hand. Then step 2, when that Myotismon is destroyed, you can use the delay effect from cards like the Mist Barrier or the Yuki Oikawa Tamer to actually play a Milo Myotismon level 6 from trash, and once he's on the board, you can really start to do some damage. This list gets over some of the hurdles the deck had in the past by relying on the lower end of the Dark Animal engine, but not in a way that you might expect. It takes advantage of those level 3s and level 4s inheritance effects to extend turns and make bigger plays over the course of a single turn. The Dark Animal package also gives you another way to actually get to that Myotismon thanks to the level 6 Anubismon 1-of in the deck, who can just discard a card and just play him down on the board for nothing. It also gets value from discards by being able to sink your Myotismons into the trash early in the game using cards like the Deltamon or the Dobermon X antibody at level 4s or the Mummymon at level 5. And because of those level 3s and level 4 inheritance effects I just mentioned before, including things like the Ignite-mon at level 3 and the Ogremon at level 4, you can typically get to a level 5 much more quickly. The level 5 Bastamon also has some pretty cool synergy with Malo Myotismon, where if you just evolve into the Bastamon, you get a level 3 on board, and then when you evolve into the Malo Myotismon, you can actually sacrifice that level 3 to actually start destroying some of your opponent's Digimon or Tamers and security at the same time. So if you're a Myotismon fan and you'd be looking for a way to put some pep in his step, definitely give this list a try. Is that the right way? Nope. Give this list a try. I figured we should probably cover the Mirage Galgamon that won the Indonesia regional that happened 2 weekends ago at this point, as of the recording of this video. And we did a stream where we reviewed the games from the Indonesia event itself, and honestly hope the player who piloted this deck will give you a much better idea of how powerful it really is just by watching some of his games. I mean, we had things like turn 2 Mirages thanks to some of the memory refund cards from things like Bukamon, as well as the level 3 Gaomon, the level 4 Galgamon, the BT19 Galgamon specifically here, as well as Mirage Galgamon, the Tax Wolf himself. And then just by setting up, like on turn 1, a really useful memory option, things like a mental training or a blue memory boost, I mean, from turn 2, right out of the gate, you can just warp right into your level 6. Warp is not the right word. It feels like a warp, but it's not a warp. You know what I mean. You also have the ability to make multiple swings thanks to inheritance cards from the EX6 Huangkunmon, as well as the Maka Galgamon, and the Mirage Galgamon Burst Mode, thanks to the Atomis Tamer you drop on the board beforehand. And the deck also has some insane defensive potential, and we get to see this during one of the games where things like Otamamon and Hexablamon can just shut Red Hybrid down from even playing the game. Honestly, I'm not going to harp too much on this deck because I feel like it's been around so long at this point.
Ben, please. Please limit Mirage, please. It's been 1.5 years.
If you're looking for one of the best decks in the Digimon card game right now, I think that Hopeless is a fantastic blueprint for that. Each week, I allow my champion level and higher YouTube members to vote on decks they want to see featured in these Meta Report videos. And this week, they chose overwhelmingly to see Phoenixmon. If you like to vote on decks that you want to see covered in these kinds of videos, as well as some other cool perks and bonuses like early access to my content and access to my full unedited stream VODs, consider becoming a YouTube member today. And with that, let's take a look at Phoenixmon. You know how they say that chickens are like the modern ancestor for the dinosaurs? Well, I think this list takes that statement a little too seriously, where you have a deck like Phoenixmon, but this time with the inclusion of the red hybrid package, including things like Cool Boy, the promo Gunimon who can warp for 2 costs to a level 6 on attack, and of course the level 6 Ancient Greymon. The Biomon here at level 3s can search out some of your Ancient Greymon cards alongside some of the regular Phoenixmon cards, though notably it can't actually grab the Gunimon card. I think the BT11 one cannot because it's variable and not vaccine. Someone double check me on the comments, but I'm pretty sure that's right. The promo Gunimon is not a vaccine card, but I think everything else is. But the deck is also hyper offensive with multiple ways to chip away your opponent's security, including things like the Phoenixmon X antibody with its Blitz effect and Sec +1 from the Ancient Greymon, as well as cards that can give rush to your other Digimon on board, like the Akihorindo Tamer, as well as the Grudamon X antibody. Because the Phoenixmon deck focuses on actually pulling cards from the trash, and your Ancient Greymon actually allows you to pull a Tamer from the trash, the synergy works out really well between the two here. Honestly though, that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's actually a lot of synergy in this deck, more than I could cover in this short video, and more than my voice is willing to hold out for, considering my throat is pretty much at its limit at this point. But I will say that if you have even a passing interest in birds or Phoenixmon at all, definitely give this list a shot. So yeah, that pretty much wraps up week 6. Really looking forward to some of the next couple of weeks with the secondary qualifiers continuing, as well as some of those other regional qualifiers outside of Japan happening at the same time. Hopefully I will be in a better state than I currently am in for those, and we can take a closer look at some of those events, perhaps in some streams. Anyways, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna go rest up. Folks, before you get out of here, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. Jesus, take the wheel. Oh, God.